Hi, how's it? We're in the next part. Hopefully it's the last or the second last one. One of these days I'm gonna run out of battery power. Not battery, but space. I was explaining to you guys the spirit, the principality that is running over the country, causing this insanity on the ground. Why it is that I have been abandoned to die. I'm like Naboth. My vineyard has been taken, and Ahab felt guilty for all of 5 seconds and then went right back to the drawing board again. There is an effeminate spirit over the country that God used in my dream as the late celebrity Prince. Prince was an effeminate man that nonetheless subscribed to heterosexuality. He claimed all the way up until the end of his life that he wasn't gay. And he dated, indeed, in so not being gay, some of the most beautiful women in the world. Prince was in my dreams seated next to Satan as the prince over South Africa. All right, God used Prince because of his nature, his character that he wore when he was here in the land. It was not so much a prophecy against the guy himself. He's dead. God is the God of the living and not of the dead. But his death, him being dead, also was significant in this dream because of the fact that these men are dead. This prince that is over the country is running through dead men and dead women and is making these dead. Hi, how's it? I had to stop recording earlier because I got interrupted by the arrival of people from wherever they were at, so but I wasn't too far off from being done anyway. I was talking about how it is that Prince, right, was this guy that was very effeminate. However, he subscribes to heterosexuality. He claimed to be straight, and in being straight, dated some of the most beautiful women in the world. And the Lord used him as an image in my dream to help me understand the principality. His name was also relevant. That is over the country. It is causing our men to be effeminate, essentially just abandon their manhood, their masculinity, their responsibility as the patriarchy over the country, what it is that God has given men to do in nations. They are to be our heads, they are to lead, they are to govern, they are to essentially hold everybody accountable to a standard of morality that is from heaven on high. They are the ones called to preach the gospel of peace, if that's what it is that they're supposed to do. They are the ones that are supposed to resolve disputes between men, women, and children on the ground. They ought wear wisdom like Solomon. They ought wear closeness to the heart of God like David, and in so doing, therefore be kings in that regard. But they have abandoned that position. They have abandoned their place in society in favor of allowing women to lead. They've allowed a matriarchy to lead, which is, guys, frankly, an abomination before Emmanuel. The Lord has never intended for any society at all to be run by women. Yes, women can be judges, women can be strong in careers and influential and all that jazz, but far be it from God to allow a feminine spirit to run a country. It has to be masculine. That's just the order of God. That's what he's done. He's given men the hierarchical uppermost position for leadership, followed by women, and then the children are on the ground. In the absence of this order being the case, the inevitability of what happened in the garden becomes a thing where a man listens to a woman, and so the whole world falls into calamity. This is not a misogynistic statement, or this is not me being one of those thirsty females. What do they call them? They call them... There's a name for women that, pick me. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to be a pick me. Yeah, no, I am for the life of me not even trying to be a pick me. It is just what it is that God gave for us as the human race to live under, because he is wise and he knew why he did that. He created Adam first, Eve from the rib, and if men allow women to run the show with no regulation, no guarding, there's inevitably going to be some kind of calamity in society. Ours is to be helper suitables, not the runners of the show. It's that basic. And so if you don't walk in your position as a helper suitable who is indeed subject under the headship of a man, you will inevitably run into the ground, for God has not given you that kind of authority as women to run the show. So no, women shouldn't preach, and no, women should not run churches. Women should not even be running entire, a feminine spirit should not be what's running the show. And I'm not against female leadership. I'm just saying it should not be the main overarching leadership in the land. Deborah was a judge. That is a form of a leader. Deborah was a prophetess. That is a form of leadership. However, the king of the land was the one that she was pretty much advisor to. She was in the capacity of a helper suitable. So when women want to run the show, inevitably structures are going to crash and burn. Things are going to look girly. They're going to be fluffy. They're going to be wearing a tutu, and there will be no muscle in society. It is that basic. And anybody that wants to deny that or disengage from the current conversation because I am now entering into some strange territory as a pick-me girl. Get away, get out, literally do you. I'm a Christian and I will always humiliate if it is in my disposal to do so. The feministic doctrine, I will always crush it with like my finger underneath my foot. Shall I keep it there like an ant, because it has destroyed societies. It has intensified the misogyny in men. It has made chauvinists more chauvinistic, and it has made women less protected. It has rendered us like essentially left to the elements to die under the wrath of men who are exhausted with you trying to take over their power. They will fight you and they're stronger, so they will win. Okay, that's literally what happens when you try to take over the manhood of men. When you try to take over the masculinity of men, they retaliate by being super misogynistic, by being super chauvinistic, by basically flexing in a way that is harmful to you. Their big muscles are supposed to carry you, but they will use them to crush you. So there will be that kind of a war on the ground. There will be an increase in gender-based violence. That is the reason why this country is suffocating under GBV, where men are killing women in their numbers and in horrible ways like carnage. It is a massacre, the way that men kill women in this country. And the reason that is happening is because of this effeminate spirit. Men will never be entirely content to have their masculinity ripped away from them. And so even if on the surface they might act cool, under wraps they are passive aggressive, and in that passive aggression will inevitably kill. So that's why our nation is the worst country to live in as a woman. It's because we've got a prince over the country, a principality that is causing men to be effeminate, women to be like Jezebel, essentially run the show. And upon men feeling kind of cooed, then low-key strategize very horrifically against women. I am suffering the way that I'm suffering right now as a woman because of the former strength that I held in corporate South Africa, having my financial independence. It caused men to think that I am literally exactly the same as all these Jezebels over the show. So when a woman is now suffering, no longer do they rock up very heroically so to rescue the damsel in distress. Now they are like, what's it like now to be weak? Try and bring yourself up now that you ain't got nothing anymore, now that you don't have any money, now that you're going nowhere, now that you're doing nothing. Try and rescue yourself now. Literally, men have gone on and gazed upon the wrong woman with that kind of disdain, and as a result I have stayed in squalor and obscurity for 8 years straight, almost 10, when I think rather differently from the way that women have allowed themselves to be taken by the tsunami of feminism. This spirit, this effeminate spirit that is running the country when there ought be no such situation running on in the ground, given that God has given the patriarchy to run lands, is of course calamitizing everything. When a woman is allowed to get away with murder, understand she runs everything on what it is that is the typicality of female sin. We have a typicality in our sin as females to gossip. We have a typicality in our jealousy, literally try and mow other women to the ground. We have a competitiveness over men, where it is that we will do anything to get the men to look at us and not at everybody else, because it is a woman's curse to long for the desire of their husbands. Okay, and so they will always want men to look upon them with favor, and in so doing will knock other women out the window. So women are suffocating, dying in this country, not only at the hands of violent men, but at the hands of aloof women that are watching their sisters just suffocate, literally cough out blood and breathe their last. Women are also emotional, like extremely emotional, and so in reacting to retaliation against them in any capacity at all will make emotional decisions. And everybody knows that an emotional decision is not always the best one, because you have to sometimes use your head. An emotional decision can be healthy in certain contexts, but not always. And in being as emotional as they are, having been now the matriarchy, in other words, they're the ones that are running the show, they then will make emotional decisions, even when it comes to like policy decisions, national strategy, and family strategies, like how to run families, how to run families. The jealousy of women over each other can cause them even to envy their own children, and so therefore deliberately not want their own daughters to get married, not want their own daughters to thrive and succeed. Hence what in the heaven is going on in my particular life. If women are left unchecked, that's what I'm trying to help you guys understand, they cause a fall of a society. Eve was left unchecked and she caused the fall of mankind. Like, women need to just get that they have to be with lords over them, because God has not given them the temperance of men. It's literally that basic. You are more emotional because you got to take care of children. You have to take care of the needs of the frail in society. You have to be like Florence Nightingale. That soft feminine touch is absolutely necessary. Otherwise everything would be rigid and its corners would be too sharp. But you cannot run a country with that kind of energy. You need the sharpness and the rigidness to keep structures erect and monolithic and like pegged into the ground. You need a masculine energy to do that. And the moment you step outside of that zone and think you can flip those narratives because we've arrived as the 21st century, that's when you destroy your countries. That is when you destroy your countries. God never intended for men to sit around doing nothing. He has allowed for us to start businesses, study, get educated. He's given us big minds precisely because we can indeed use them for benefit. But the moment you try to create out of any patriarchal ecosystem a matriarchy, that's when things start to fall, because emotional decisions made by women who want to protect their passions will cause a structure in any land to fall apart. And this country is being run by a feminine energy. Even if we don't have a female president, it doesn't matter. Bottom line is women literally, wives inside individual households, wives inside tents are the ones that are causing the conglomerate of men on the ground to be namby-tamby, to be namby-pamby. Evil women are introducing husbands into witchcraft. They are keeping them dark. I was listening to the testimony of this one woman, Portia Mohau. Let's actually move to the next part so we can continue to have this chat.